I like snapped, right? And I was like, why don't you suck my fucking dick? And I was ready to fight. And I came out of the shower naked and started heading towards this guard, not running after him, but backing him down. And then all of a sudden, man,
What's up? Welcome back to season 2 of BK's Chop Shop. We are here with comedian Sam Miller.
it's me.
It's you. How you doing, man?
2 hours. That's what they call me.
2 hours of sleep, Sam?
It's all I need.
2 hours of sleep, Sam. So you came in today from Olympia?
Yeah, I fly out of SeaTac. That's where I always fly out of.
SeaTac.
I've flown more in the last 2 years than I did in all the previous years of my life.
Combined?
Yeah, definitely. And it's not even close.
That's
not
crazy.
even close. Like I'm flying like twice a month at least. I do a week on the road and then a week of like local shows and then a week on the road.
So you're flying like 26 times a year right now?
Yep.
Almost. That's crazy.
Yep. I'm not going to do the math. 2 hours Sam does not do math like that. But I think you're right.
I had the most trouble at SeaTac Airport. Every time I fly out of there, I got to get there like 3 hours. There's nobody working.
Yeah, it's bad, man.
I waited in a security line for like 2 hours in a line of like 50 people.
Yeah, dude.
Somebody took a break. Yeah. Somebody went outside to smoke a cigarette.
Well, it's designed, the thing about SeaTac is it's like on this hill and there's water and there's like a bunch of development around there and they can't make it any bigger because nobody ever thought Seattle would be like that crazy. It's an airport. I think it only has 3 runways, which I think O'Hare has like 8 or something.
Yeah, and it's kind of a major hub, especially from people traveling like from other countries too.
Yeah,
because you got that West Coast thing going on.
Mm-hmm.
So you came in. How long you in town for?
It's kind of a weird run. So I flew in today so I can get to Janesville, Wisconsin tomorrow. I'm doing the Comedy Cabin tomorrow.
The Cabin.
And then I come back and I headline at the Lincoln Lodge on Thursday, and that's looking pretty good, and that makes me happy.
Hell yeah.
And then on Friday, I go to Cincinnati. And then Saturday, I go to Bristol, Tennessee. I'm doing the Comet for Bombs Away Comedy in Cincinnati. And then Saturday at the Blue Ridge Comedy Club. Sean Carter is flying into Cincinnati to meet me. He's a comedian there in Bristol. And then he'll roll with me to Bristol. And I'm dropping off the documentary guy, Ian, who was going to come watch this happen. But he also is running on 2 hours.
He's tired. What documentary are you doing? You mentioned that.
My record label and this guy named Josh Johnson, they are working on a documentary kind of about my journey from tarps to towers.
Tarps, is that what it's called?
No.
Oh.
I just came up with that.
That's a good name. You should write that down, 2 hours, Sam.
Towers. No, 2 hours Sam doesn't write anything.
If it's important enough, you'll remember.
Yeah.
Josh Johnson, the comic?
No, Josh Johnson, he worked, he's most well known for working on those Bigfoot shows.
I love
Discovery
those shows,
Channel. Yeah.
dude.
So he
Legend.
is an executive producer for both Finding Bigfoot and Expedition Bigfoot.
Have you ever asked him about like if you ever saw Bigfoot or something that could be Bigfoot?
I know a lot about those Bigfoot shows because they were filming them in my neck of the woods, and me and Josh went to the same school. I know a lot of stuff about Bigfoot.
Can you tell me something about Bigfoot I wouldn't know?
Yeah, it's not real.
Yeah. So when they do these shows, like, do these people believe it's real or?
I don't know.
Okay.
Yeah, I don't know about that. And I don't really worry about it because I think if you love Bigfoot and you believe in Bigfoot, I think that's really fun. and it's not hurting nobody, you know?
Yeah.
I got friends of mine that are flat earthers.
Do you really?
Yeah, but I don't we don't kick it. It's kind of
Was that the divider right there?
yeah, it's hard hanging out with flat earthers because it always comes back to like flat earth stuff. And the thing about flat earthers, the thing that sucks about flat earthers is it starts with flat earth and they'll be like, yeah, the earth is flat. And then like the next week they'll be like, also, I don't think the Holocaust happened. It's like, oh, no.
Wait, why does they always jump from flat earth to the Jews? It's always flat earth to, the Jews aren't great right now.
I just think it's hard to figure out how a Holocaust could happen on a flat earth, I guess. I don't know.
Yeah.
That seems like round earth shit.
It does seem like some round earth shit. They're living in a different reality.
But yeah, the thing about the Bigfoot thing, and I feel like I'm giving away like some secrets here. But
That's what we want here. We want Bigfoot secrets.
yeah, you know what a lot of it is, man, is that there's a lot of people in those areas that get tired of like people that ain't from there tromping around out in the woods and getting themselves in trouble. A lot of them are like native folks. There's a lot of native folks. I got a lot of native homies in Washington State. There's just a lot of native folks. And some of it...
Would you say too many?
No, I love that shit. I know them. I love it. But a lot of it is people just messing with people. Like they think it's funny to make people think there's like Bigfoot stuff. And because the thing about, I hate to be Mr. Like I worked for the Forest Service. I was a wildland firefighter. And like, I know people that have worked in the woods for a lot of years. And there's cougars all over the place and you never see them. And
like what, like 40 or 50?
Dude, there's so many. Yeah. They're all over the place. You never see them, but you see the dead ones and people, and they are around and you see the kills. And for there to be a breeding population, people would have found a dead one. And I know it bums people out.
Do you think they do it to keep people out of the area? Do you think it was like used a long time ago to be like, don't come over here by us?
I think it's just
we got a Bigfoot.
Yeah, people are just bored, man. They do it for the same reason I fart in Costco.
Oh yeah. I remember being a bored child and coming up with weird shit like that.
Yeah, I used to go up. There used to be a Blockbuster Video by my house, and I would do this thing where I'd fart in one aisle, and then I'd go 2 aisles over, and I'd pretend I was looking at a movie and then watch people watch.
That's amazing. That's what I do now at the grocery store.
Yeah.
I'm not that secretive about it. I don't mind sitting in it and waiting for people to find it.
No, there's plenty of room in Costco. I let them fly in there. I try not to fart too much in public, especially the size I am.
Yeah. I guess you think the bigger you are, the more offensive a fart is. Coming out of a 6'6" dude.
My body
and
like the stuff, like stuff going in's bigger, stuff coming out's bigger.
Yeah, that's true.
And also,
it's a volume game at the end of it.
And I work out. I do like cardio and stuff. I'm like a Mack truck, dude.
You can just keep going.
Yeah, I just like fuel in, exhaust out, and like sweat and just all fluids.
So you're saying you're a well-oiled machine with a lot of fluids.
Yeah, I just felt like that got really gross for a second.
Yeah, you kind of like I am just okay. So you were a firefighter,
wildland firefighter.
Okay, a wildland firefighter.
Yeah, not one of these structure folks. So I worked a year with Job Corps. So I was homeless, and they put me in a Job Corps center, which was better than being homeless, sort of. And then I worked with a Job Corps fighting fire.
Job Corps is like when you get a job and they'll provide you housing.
Yeah, sort of. It's like a work training program. They have some of them were run. This one was run by the Department of Agriculture, the Forest Service, or whatever, Job Corps Center. But then they also have these other ones that I don't know. It's complicated, but it's a program. It's a job training program, and you can take like a trade, and you can get your high school diploma. I already had my GED. I wasn't worried about that, but it's a back door into federal jobs and into union jobs. So you can learn a trade and you can leave Job Corps and you're basically done with your apprenticeship already because they really do. But a lot of folks like me that are having a rough life, it's like the last thing they do before everything explodes.
Oh, really?
And for me, I held it off for a little bit, but I did. I worked a year with the Washington State Department of Natural Resources fighting fire, and then 2 years with the Forest Service. And then the wheels came all the way off in 2007 because like when I'm fighting fire and I'm out in the woods, I couldn't get high. And then there was like a slow fire season and I got fired. Not really fired. It's like there was no fires that
year.
year.
You got laid off.
Well, no, they just told me not to come back for next season. And I didn't have much money. I was living at like a puppy mill, and I was doing like a large amount of methamphetamines every day.
At the puppy mill?
Yeah, man.
Yeah. Was it also
really
like
bad.
a meth lab / puppy mill?
No, they weren't cooking meth at that point.
Okay.
They weren't. I was around that when I was younger though. In my early 20s. And I was around people cooking dope, man.
Really?
Yeah, man.
It was Breaking Bad shit?
Huh?
That's a big thing out in Olympia?
Man, you know what, Breaking Bad, man? I watched that.
Yeah.
There's parts of it. You know, Jesse, what's the name of his like chubby friend?
Yeah.
Talking about?
Yeah, he's too fat to be a meth head.
Dude, nah, I know lots of fat meth heads. Some of his friends, like really, like you could tell that some of those writers knew what they were talking about. But like a lot of, obviously a lot of it's like dramatized or whatever.
Well, yeah.
They're going to make it interesting. But dude, it's like, I don't know. It's sad, but there's also joy there. That's the thing that I get tired of in movies and TV shows is it's like every story about homelessness is like the saddest thing in the world when like, yeah, like bad things happened, but also like I had a lot of joy when I was homeless, dude. Like for real, like I had some good times too.
That's so interesting. I wouldn't, I never even thought of it like that.
Yeah, man.
What was like? Do you remember like a specific joyful moment when you were homeless?
Oh, dude, so many little things.
Hit me with
so
one.
many beautiful people getting laid. Like just.
Where'd you do it?
All over the place, man.
What's the weirdest place you had sex?
The weirdest place I had sex. Well, I was living in a barn. I was having sex in a barn.
That's not so weird. I feel like if it was your kind of like your room.
I don't know where the weird is. Oh, a dock on a lake.
Did you ever do it in like a Sonic bathroom or something?
I don't know if I ever had sex in a bathroom. I had sex on a folding chair behind a car.
On the folding chair? What was the folding chair doing?
Oh,
just a place to sit down?
Yeah, just a place to sit down. She was on top of me. We were behind a Volkswagen Jetta.
Hell yeah.
It's always the Jetta, man.
I love that detail, the Volkswagen Jetta.
Well, they're like European Nissan Altimas. There's just nothing good happens with Jettas.
No, yeah. Altimas, Jettas, and Maximas are always fucking shit up.
Yeah.
And Kias.
My life, man, I'll be honest, man, like all my comedy stuff in my life, I have like a lot of joy now. My life is way better than it was. And I've been sober like 16 years now.
Fuck yeah.
And now my life is really weird. Because all this drug stuff, I've become like fairly well known for like these drug jokes and jail jokes and homelessness jokes. And a lot of my newer stuff isn't about that as much. But a lot of the stuff that popped off online is that it's just fresh on my mind because I was in I got a comment from somebody that was like, this guy spends more time talking about crack than he does cracking jokes. And it's like, man.
Well, did it like hit you? Were you like, did it like make you stop writing so much about that?
No, I don't.
Oh, okay. Yeah, because internet comments can go.
You know
fuck
what's funny
off.
is he's from New York, and I'm about to do a show in Queens in like a week. And you know what's funny? I was like, he was in the comment. Like, I screenshot that comment, and then I make a post about it because people love that stuff. And it's funny because he was like defending himself in those comments, and somebody was like, "I'm gonna buy you tickets to Sam's show." But you know what? Here's the thing. Like, I don't really care if that dude comes or doesn't come to my comedy show because...
Thanks for adding to your comedy show.
Yeah, my comedy is not for everybody.
Yeah.
And like, I know that. I don't care. It doesn't matter anymore.
What, so, all right, take me back to the beginning, I guess. So you were homeless, then you went to jail for a while, and then you started comedy?
No, I started comedy. So I've been sober 16 years. I've been doing comedy I was 6 years sober when I started doing comedy.
Okay.
I was already married and had a couple kids.
Oh, wow.
And
it's a tough thing to start when you're married.
Bro.
I started with a girlfriend and it sucked. And then we got married and then I got divorced, all because of comedy.
Yeah, dude. Yeah, that happens.
Yeah.
The first time I did my first open mic, and as I was getting off stage, the thought I had was like, oh my God, like I'm going to get divorced over this.
It was like that.
So scared.
It hit you?
Man, I love comedy more than drugs. And
that's a beautiful thing.
I loved drugs so much. And I have fond memories of a lot of the drug stuff.
Yeah.
I loved getting high. I loved doing wild shit. But this game, this comedy game, and the people I get to meet and the places I get to go, and just my favorite thing, man, is it when people don't really know who I am and they come to a show and maybe somebody drug them along and they think it's gonna suck.
Yeah.
And then
It's a lot of those at shows.
Man, dude, it's the best.
Yeah. When you turn them.
Yeah, I do that shit a lot, man.
That's awesome.
Yeah, that's the best. But yeah, I don't know, man. I don't think I could have done this if I was still getting high. I just don't think it works.
Yeah, no, I've seen a lot of people try for sure, and it doesn't usually work.
Yeah.
Or it like peaks, and then you're just kind of like, oh fuck, this is sad to watch.
Yeah, dude.
Yeah, and I've known a lot of comics die too. Like it's a scary business with that.
Yeah, that's kind of tripped me out a little bit, man. There's I know a lot of people that I met in recovery die. I know a lot of people I used to get high with that are dead. But I also know a fair amount of comedians that have died.
Yeah.
And all kinds of stuff. I think even without drugs and alcohol, we can be really rough on ourselves with the food we eat, the company we keep, places we go. The stakes are higher than we realize sometimes. You know?
Yeah, no, absolutely. For sure. What do you remember that first gig? Do you remember where it was?
Yeah, the 1230 room in Olympia, Washington.
1230
open mic hosted by Devin For Real. The feature comment was Adam Posse, who's become a very good friend of mine. He's a really huge Samoan guy, and he lives in Portland. He's very funny.
Dude, Samoans are the best. I got 2 good Samoan friends I knew growing up. They're so nice. Their family's so nice.
Oh yeah, man. Yeah. Adam's great, man. He's got this great joke about a big Samoan funeral and how nobody can turn their heads because they're not.
Nice.
That's my favorite Adam Posse joke.
So comedy came 6 years after being sober.
Mm-hmm.
I know just from your stories and stuff, you did spend some time in jail before you were homeless or after?
During. Complicated.
Okay.
I actually, what's funny? I used to have a joke about that because people have asked me before. They're like, what's worse, being homeless or being in jail? And I was like, well, when I was homeless, I ran from the cops. So jail's worse. And also, when I was homeless, if I was homeless and I went to jail, like the jail wasn't my home. Like,
yeah.
And then I'd get out. Like, you know what I mean? Like
I'm here.
When I was homeless, I was still like, when I went to jail, like I'm still homeless.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
It's complicated.
I remember, I think I did a show with you at Laugh Factory, like I think maybe a year ago or last time you came in, and Joe brought you in, right? Joe hit you up?
Joe's the homie, man.
Dude, that's great. Did you know Joe before he hit you up? I'm talking about Joe Loisel from a Laugh Factory, by the way.
The Joe story is crazy, man, because this goes back like 4 years now or 5 years or something. And it was like, so this is the story. It's funny. I'm glad I'm doing this on a podcast so I can actually tell this whole story and try not to 2 hour Sam. Hopefully he doesn't mess this up. So I was doing comedy at an NA convention in Dixon, Illinois. And then on a Thursday. And then I had a Sunday gig in Traverse City, Michigan, another recovery gig for recoverycomedy.com. A guy named Curtis Matthews out of the Bay. Okay. I had 2 days off. Like, it's funny because I got booked for good money gigs on Thursday and Sunday. You know what I mean? So I got Friday and Saturday. Chicago's right there. So I was like, whatever. I did a Friday at the Lincoln Lodge. I tried to get some people out. I think I got 7 or 8 people. It was okay. It was whatever. And then Saturday I couldn't find a show. And then at the last minute I got on the late show with Tiny Thickums.
The nasty show.
Yeah, the nasty show.
With Tiny Thickums.
It was crazy because like I'm there and like I get to the Laugh Factory. I'd never been there before. And
it's a cool room.
Well, I love Chicago comics and I love Chicago comedy. But like, and it's not just Chicago comics, it's all big city comics. Like I'm from Olympia, Washington, man. The only club I really was working was like the Comedy Underground. And then also like Savage Henry and Eureka, these like B-level clubs. I never got into any of the other clubs in Seattle. Helium didn't want anything to do with me in Portland. I've headlined there now. But like, anyway, like the Laugh Factory, it's just like iconic, and I look at the lineup and I was like, oh, maybe somebody heard about me. I'm going up last. Like I'm headlining the showcase, the late showcase. And then I realized, I was like, man, it was like 1:30 in the morning when I went up on stage.
Late.
And anyway, people are tired. I go up, and I was like, man, like I just got done doing the Seattle International Comedy Competition, and I had this 10-minute competition set, and it was in the chamber, ready to go. And I just went up there and I pulled the trigger, and I got my opener to hit, and then right when my opener hit, I knew what joke I was going to do next. And that hit in a different way that I wasn't expecting. And then I was like, I should go dirty. And then I switched it up, and goddamn, I had the set of my life. And Joe was watching, and I was chopping it up with Joe before, and me and him just hit it off. And then he saw that I was funny. And then he pressed the booker there to get me like a whole week of shows.
Mm-hmm.
Right? And what's funny is like when you did that week of shows, they gave me like a flat rate for the whole week, and it was enough to cover flights and half my hotel.
Beautiful.
You know? But what I did is I brought 150 pounds of t-shirts, 3 full-size suitcases of t-shirts.
Shit.
And you can talk to them at the Laugh, man. I sold every single one of those shirts. Eventually all I had left was smalls.
No fucking
way.
What did you do? Did you like tell people about it on stage? You just walk off?
Yeah, well, they let me close out most of the shows. Like I was closing out a lot of them, and even if I wasn't closing them out, and I told them like, I think comics that I see them mess up all the time is we're no better than anybody else. Like, and in fact, like the most important person in that room is that crowd. Like these comics, man, it's so easy to get a big head. And I struggle with that. That's why I got a therapist. That's why I like work on myself. That's why I work out and try to be good to myself. And I have a lot of friends that aren't comedians because this shit will eat you up, right? And the minute you think you're better than somebody, they're not going to laugh at you. It's not relatable. Nobody likes that shit.
Yeah.
Nobody comes to comedy shows to get fucking outsmarted. They want to laugh, you know?
That's so true.
And that's the thing is it like, so when I'm on stage and I'm like, I do my set and I'm doing well, I go, hey, like I said, man, I'm Sam Miller. I came here from Olympia. I'm broke and I got hella t-shirts and they say, let's dance, which is my belly tattoo. And yeah, if you buy a t-shirt for me, that rules. And that's, and people get it.
That's awesome. Yeah, there's nothing more annoying than a comic whose whole set is just talking about like his life, or not his life, his comic life, his interactions with other comics. I'm like, oh, you got nothing. This isn't relatable at all.
Dude, the thing
I met Shaq one day and you're like, who cares?
Yeah.
Backstage.
The thing that I always think is funny is younger comics that will talk shit about people they were dating or trying to date. And I'm like, I see them pull up, to the spot. And I see their shit on Facebook and I'm like, bro, like I wouldn't date you.
Yeah,
like,
right. You weren't a catch.
Yeah. And it's the same thing about like these old school headliners bitching about their ex-wives. It's like, oh, these women, they're terrible. And it's like, dude, you got 4 ex-wives, man. The problem, the call's coming from inside the house, bro.
Yeah, two, maybe it's her.
Yeah, and
3, it's not a fucking chance.
Yeah, and before I was headlining, I used to feature for these freaking chuds, and I watch them cheating on their wives and shit like that. And it's like, yeah, dude, your world's on fire because you keep burning it down, dude. Like, shut the fuck up.
Yeah, there's a lot of self-destructive behavior for sure.
And it's this thing too, man. We're like I think us as comics too, we need to stop like romanticizing the struggle.
Yeah, what's with that? You can't like they don't like anything successful.
No, it's like oh, I've been grinding. Like build something beautiful. Stop burning bridges with venues. Stop just booking your same 4 friends.
Oh yeah. Stop crashing out and yelling at everybody on the internet.
Yeah, or do whatever you want to do.
Yeah, so the reason I was asking you about the Laugh Factory thing and too, because in the jail thing is I remember then you had a joke about like a jail within a jail.
Yeah, man.
Or something.
Yeah, I love that joke. That was on my first special. I don't remember. Oh yeah, I got arrested in jail. And yeah. That shit's crazy. You know what's funny is a lot of my jokes, they're not fabrications, but I change stuff to make it easier for people to deal with. In the joke, I tell a guard, I was like, why don't you get out of my face? And that's like the joke.
Mm-hmm.
But what really happened, and by the way, I watched some of your other podcast stuff, and I thought that you might like this story.
I love it already.
The true story is that I was at this place called Post 6, which is basically a trustee. So it's like easy time, right? So you got to sleep in a big room with 40 other dudes though, and that shit sucks.
Are you like the old guy in Shawshank that gets to wheel the books to everybody and like have a snack?
No,
okay.
Not a trustee. So those guys are trustees. They like, you have like the job and they pretty much chill or whatever and no infractions or whatever. But I was in Post 5. No, Post 6. Post 5 is trustees. I was in Post 6. And every night at around 9:55, I would take a quick shower to calm myself down. I was in the shower. It was 9:56, 9:57, and all of a sudden the water went cold, and I looked over at the guard was turning the hot water off, which they did every night. And I knew the guard. I know it sounds wild, but his name was, I don't know, I could say his name. He's an old man now. His name was Stegall was his last name. I don't know his first name. His name was
Seagal, like Steven Seagal?
Officer Stegall.
Stegall.
Yeah, Officer Stegall. And I thought he didn't see me, and I was like, hey, Stegall, man. Me and this guard were always good. Like, as good as you can be with a guard. Like,
sure.
I'm not like friends with these folks. But I was like, hey, Stegall, man, I'm still in here, man. I still got like 3 minutes. And he was like, Miller. He's like, why don't you take a shower tomorrow, man? I got to get this count wrapped up. And I'm like, I get that, man. And I know you're busy. I'm not trying to be rude, but I got shampoo in my hair. And he's like, dude, I don't think you understand just what's going on here. I need you to get out of the shower now. And I'm like, hey, man, like I'm following the rules. Like I got till 10. I got time. I think you should follow the rules too. And he's like, why don't you get out of the shower right now? Like I asked you to. I'm not asking again. And all of a sudden, dude, I like snapped, right? And I was like, why don't you suck my fucking dick? And I was ready to fight. And I came out of the shower naked and started heading towards this guard, not running after him, but backing him down. And then all of a sudden, man, I'm out there. And by the way, all the other inmates, they're just like, oh, because they think this shit's going down. They're like, Sam lost his shit finally. Because I was high key, dude. I was always on one, dude. And I was young, you know. I was probably, 19 years old, man. And like, just on one, man. And anyway, he backs up to the door and he hits, we call it, I know it's an unfortunate term, but they called it the bitch button. And it's the button that you hit with like, inmates will hit it too if they're like.
Yeah, with their fight, yeah.
Yeah. And Stegall hit that. And then that makes all these guards run in. And like, even before he hit the button, I had like this moment of clarity and I was like, Sam, you are trying to fight a guard. You're in jail. You're trying to fight a guard and you're naked. And I laid down on the ground and I just started being like, dude, I'm so sorry. I'm so sorry. I'm so sorry. Dude, I didn't realize. I'm sorry I lost it. And he's like, stay down, stay down. And then all the other guards come in. And, I get handcuffed and all that. And I went from minimum security to medium security.
Oh,
and
fuck.
because I was medium security, they did not have room for me in the Thurston County jail. And they sent me to the Yakima jail. And that place was horrible.
Is that like a big prison?
It's
or
not
jail,
like a prison.
I mean?
Well, this is the thing, man. Is it like some of these, it's a detention facility and they have people that are doing life and they might have a charge somewhere. At that time, it wasn't ICE, it was INS. And they had folks that were getting processed through immigration stuff. So they had a bunch of people on federal holds. And it was chaos. It was dangerous. I was 19. I was huge, which you think would be a good thing. But when you're locked up, man, when you're doing time, like, the best thing you can do is just blend in, man, and be like everybody else.
Did people want to like fight you because you were big?
Dude, I got tested a lot, man. Shit sucks, dude, because I'm not that dude, man. I don't want to be that dude. Like I took care of what I needed to take care of, man. But if I go the rest of my life, man, I don't want to put my hands on anybody, man. That shit sucks, man. I'm so like, honestly, man, and like this is the thing too, is it like, yeah, dude, it's scary. And like, and you can't, it's scary because I was some dumbass hippie kid who got into crystal with a dead fucking dad. And like, my life was chaos. My life was hell. I absolutely hated who I was. Drugs were the only thing that made me feel better. And I wound up in a fucking jail cell and I wanted to destroy the world. I was pissed, dude.
Yeah.
Pissed. And then to have some guard, and I'll tell you something funny about that night too. So after Stegall, right? So I get in a holding cell after that. And then all of a sudden I'm in medium security. So I'm not in a blue jumpsuit anymore. I'm in an orange jumpsuit. Red is max, and I don't know what it is in other facilities, but in Thurston County Jail, orange is medium. So I'm wearing my orange freaking getup, and all of a sudden, there's Stegall, and he's sitting at the table where the lawyers usually sit, and he was like, "Miller, can I talk to you?" And I was like, "Yeah, dude." And I went out there, and I told him, I was like, "Dude, like, I'm so sorry, man. Like, I know you got a job to do. And I feel bad, but I was like, please, man, let me come back. Let me come back."
Mm-hmm.
And like in that moment, I knew, and he apologized to me and he's like, I shouldn't have turned off the water early. But he's like, Miller, he's like, there's no way you can come back there because all the other inmates saw me punk him.
Yeah.
And they know that like, if I come back,
that they could do it too.
5. And so, and it's wild, man, because like, I'm not on that tough guy shit, man. I was 19, man. I was crying.
Yeah.
Like, dude, I'm so sorry, man.
That's so sad.
Because the other thing too, man, is Yakima is like 3.5 hours away from Olympia, where I'm from. And it's like, my mom can't see, like, it's hard for my mom to get out there.
Yeah.
Like, it was terrible, man.
How long were you there for?
Yakima, geez, I don't know. Like, it was months.
Damn.
Way too long.
Do you remember, was there something, I asked somebody else this, was there something about being in jail that was like surprisingly better than you thought it was? Not the experience, but like maybe like some sort of food or like weird people in video games.
That's another thing, man. I want to say this shit. Same thing as being homeless, man. Like, if you haven't been through that and you want to talk about it or explore it or whatever, or watch movies or whatever, like, be all about it. But don't pretend you know. Like, don't pretend you know. Because there is joy. And I did make real friends. Yeah, man, I had the homie, man. His name was Israel Romero. And I've actually tried to find the guy a couple times because he saved my ass. Because I got into it with these Mexican dudes. And Israel spoke Spanish and English. He was like bilingual. And I got into it with these Mexicans over this dumb shit. And I don't even remember what it was about. But anyway, Israel like hashed that stuff out, saved my bacon. And he got deported.
Damn.
Well, he didn't give a shit. He's like, he worked construction. He was just pissed he missed his daughter's birthday. He said he'd be back in a week.
That's what all the dudes I know. My buddy works at a warehouse, and I was like, "Are they stressing over there?" They're like, "No, let them send me on a free vacation. I'll go back home and come right back."
No, that was the funniest thing is like he was actually really excited when they actually processed him through because he's like, now I can come back and go back to work. Dude.
Yeah, it's crazy.
It was just dumb because he was here. He wasn't born here, but he came here when he was like 7 or 8.
So he should have been under like the Dream Act or something like that.
Something like that. But he got a DUI,
Yeah.
And they were tripping and whatever. And he's just like, I don't know, man. People need to calm the hell down with all this. So
does it bother you when people like claim homelessness? Like they're like, I was homeless and tried to be a comic for 2 years. And you're like, no, you had somewhere to go. You just lived in your car.
Yeah, I don't know, man. Because honestly, like, the way we define homelessness is strange to me. And I coming at this, not just from somebody who experienced homelessness, but after I worked with homeless folks. I worked at a shelter. I worked with homeless youth. I don't know, man. Cause honestly, I thought I was less homeless than I was. So like I actually did. So the Seattle Times, like I did this podcast with the Seattle Times and KUOW called Outsiders. And it was about homelessness in Olympia. And they interviewed me and my mom for this podcast. And they were like, how long were you homeless, Sam? And I was like, oh, like a year and a half, you know? And then my mom was like, it was longer than that. And I'm like, what do you mean? Like, she's like, what about when you were living in the barn? And I was like, Mom, barns are homes. And she's like, for cows. And also, I forgot about at the end of my drinking, like living in a trailer with no power and no running water and living in abandoned houses.
Yeah.
Which, you know what's weird? Okay, so like the whole like living in an abandoned house thing, there was a guy named Justin who was like, hey, give me $200 a month. You can use this room, right?
Okay.
And then Justin disappeared. And I just
He had nothing to do with the house. He just showed up one day.
Yeah, I just stayed. And I was like, I'm not like,
You paid for it.
No, I never gave him any money.
Oh.
I told him I was going to get him later. And then, yeah, and he was dating some girl. He was staying over there. So I don't know. I never gave him any money.
I'm curious. As somebody who like went through this, do you like the term unhoused, or do you think this is just people changing the names, acting like something's changed?
I don't know. Somebody brought this up the other day, and
I just never understood it.
Well, okay, here's the thing, right? So if you're like, hey, there's a homeless guy, is a different thing than saying, hey, that guy is unhoused. Because it says that, like, if somebody's like, if that's just a homeless guy, then you're kind of saying that that's what that person is. When homeless isn't something that people are, it's something that people experience. You know what I mean?
Yeah, it's more demeaning to say that's a homeless guy than that guy's unhoused.
Yeah. So when you say somebody's unhoused, so like I know people that I was on the streets with that have master's degrees. I know people that are amazing at all kinds of things, amazing painters or skateboarders or rappers, you know, and it's kind of like, so I get it, but me personally, I don't really trip on it that much. And also, if you've been through it and it's just like, it's common vernacular. One thing I don't like is when people call people tweakers, especially because like, you don't know, because there's a lot of other mental health stuff that can look like that.
Oh, going along with it, they're like, it looks the same to somebody tweaking.
Yeah. I hate that. And a pet peeve of mine, like if you want to call somebody homeless or whatever, that's whatever. But like, I hate it. Oh man, when people like compare like homeless folks to animals and shit.
I've never heard that.
That's gonna get my goat. Oh yeah, there was a guy on Facebook and this dude in town in Olympia, and me and him got into it, and it sucked because he was like a comedy producer, and he was like, "Look at these animals." I'm like, oh.
That's insane.
Yeah,
that's interesting. I was just curious. Okay, so
I want to say one thing. Too.
Yeah.
If we were confronted by the realities of extreme wealth in the same way we're confronted with extreme poverty, we would be just as upset as about billionaires. So like the thing about like your Bezoses and your Zuckerbergs and stuff is that we don't see that situation.
You mean you're saying it's relatively as fucked up as being homeless?
Yes.
Because they have the opposite problem?
No, because they're taking up so many goddamn resources. Like in space. And like, dude.
Yeah, they're buying space right now.
Yeah. You know what's funny, man? You know how many like tax breaks like golf courses get? Because you know who golfs? All the lawyers that become fucking politicians.
Yeah.
And like now they're like, oh yeah, tax breaks for golf courses. And if you want to golf, that's chill, you know? But also like, I think there's these 4 huge golf courses like in Los Angeles that would be like amazing. Like just take one of them and make like a dope park.
Yeah.
Something, man.
Totally.
Because they wouldn't be able to exist if you taxed golf courses and country clubs
and use that tax money
the way you tax property as like houses, like they would not be able to exist if you pass like per acre what they're actually worth.
Oh, they definitely wouldn't look that nice.
No, they wouldn't be able to make it, man. Yeah, it's crazy.
I noticed when I was in Seattle, I got the opportunity. I did a headline a couple of times at that new club out there, the Comedy Bar.
Oh yeah,
I love it there. And I saw you do Jess's podcast. Like she's super nice.
Yeah,
she's always cool to me, and so is Dean. It's a cool spot. But what I noticed about Seattle, what I was going to say is they have these like tiny homes in like these like fenced in areas where I guess like homeless people can live or they get the ability to live in. What is that?
Tiny homes work well for some folks.
You know what I'm talking about?
Yeah, I know exactly what you're talking about. Yeah, we had Camp Quixote in Olympia. That's what that was called. So a thing about like the same way we talk like the term homeless and like all the different kinds. There's a lot of different kinds of poverty and a lot of different kinds of homelessness. And tiny homes can be a great solution for a certain segment of people.
Tiny people.
Other people, yeah, tiny people. Other people need like permanent supportive housing to deal with like mental health stuff. Other people need like, there is like the mental health and addiction element. Some people could use like low barrier treatment for that stuff. There's a lot of stuff, man,
Yeah, I was just curious. I've never seen that before. My friends were like, oh, it's just like a place for homeless people to live.
They probably got one in Chicago. The tiny home stuff is pretty popular, man.
Chicago's not great with homeless. We moved them to like the south side and the west side for the most part.
Yeah.
And I remember there was a billionaire a couple years ago who provided all the homeless with these like beautiful orange, like sub-zero Antarctic tents.
Yeah.
Because it gets so cold and a lot of people die.
Oh, yeah, dude.
And he did that. And the city ripped them away because they said they were an eyesore.
Yeah, that shit's crazy, bro.
It's so crazy. I was like, why don't you let these people have these fucking nice tents?
Yeah. Well,
just dumb shit like that.
Well, that's the thing is it depends on where they put up the tents.
Wait, so now the tents exist, but they're on like south of 55th where nobody goes.
Yeah.
But I want to get back to comedy too. So do you remember a turning point in your comedy career? Because like we were talking earlier, you said you were selling like 7-8 tickets to the Lincoln Lodge. Very relatable. And now you're seemingly massive.
Yeah. So, there was a moment where I was still featuring for people. And I used to be a guy, like I always wanted a list. I wanted a set list that I could look at. And then I got to a point where I knew about what order my jokes would go in if I was doing 15 or 15 to 30.
Mm-hmm.
And then I had the list on me, but I wouldn't pull it out. And then I would move the jokes around or make different sets and this and that. And I kept forming and reforming it. And then one time I was featuring for this guy named Mark Yaffe. We were in Oregon in the Willamette Valley somewhere. And I was like, okay, I got my jokes on my piece of paper. I wonder what I should do. I want to close with this or maybe open with that. And then I was like, man, I kind of want to do these in a different order. And I don't know, man, something like snapped in my head. And unless I'm getting ready to record an album, I very rarely have like a set list in my head.
Do you like the freedom of being able to go up there and just be like, I'm just going to go with the flow, or even maybe the challenge of it?
I don't know if the challenge is the right word, but I know what my opener is going to be. And I have like a whole bunch of different closers I can do. I mean, you can really close on anything if you want.
Do you ever try and do that? Like put one of your lesser jokes at the end just so you have to like are forced to punch it up?
Bro, I make... The comedy stuff has gotten very weird. And when I'm on stage and how I see my jokes and how I do my jokes and how it feels, my confidence is high enough. A lot of times I'm able to merge like crowd work, riffing, and material. That's gotten to be really cool. It's stuff that I used to watch like Nate Jackson do and
Nate Jackson's great.
Yeah.
I featured for Gabriel Rutledge.
Yeah, he's great.
He was the first guy I got to feature for ever. It was like 2 years in, and I featured for him for a week at Zany's.
Oh, that's great, man. Yeah.
He was so nice. I still talk to him every once in a while on Instagram.
Yeah, he's fantastic. Yeah, so he's from the same town as me, man.
He was a murderer.
Yeah.
Dude.
Oh, dude, he kills, dude. He's ridiculous.
What I loved about him, that's Nate. That's not Gabe. But what I loved about Gabe is he's got a lot of jokes about his family and his kids. And not one of them is like demeaning or fuck my wife or she was bitching at me. They're all very positive.
Yeah, that's good. His wife is a sweetheart. I know his wife.
All right. So I'm curious, like you're obviously had a lot of shit happen to you and you went through a lot of shit.
Yeah.
And you've mentioned this too. And like, I could tell just by like sitting with you and talking to you, you're a very positive person.
Yeah.
Where does that come from? Where do you find the ability to be positive?
I try to take good care of myself off stage. I try to stay right sized. I try to take accountability when I'm wrong. I got a wonderful support system. I have a wonderful wife. My mom lives downstairs. I can go talk to her. My kids are cool, even though they're too cool for me now. My oldest is too cool for me.
How many? You have 2 kids?
Yeah, 14 and 11.
Both boys?
Mm-hmm.
Do you have a favorite?
No. Not in a million years. Not publicly.
What? Yeah. So there is one.
Yeah.
Everybody's got to have a secret one.
No, here's the deal. Is that I talked about this the other day. Is that I have been in bonus time for a very long time. So like, there's so many, I've overdosed. I've been robbed, almost froze to death. Almost died fighting fire. And I lived my life in such a way where I could take it right to the edge over and over. Because everything had to be, I couldn't deal with just being okay. I could never drink like a couple beers or 3 beers and smoke a joint and just chill out. I always had to drink a 12-pack, smoke a bunch of weed, and then go do crystal or something.
Yeah, be a man.
Get on one. And a thing I learned in recovery is that like it's okay just to be okay. And I don't have to be so extra all the time. And when I was like 3 years sober, and I took my kid down to the river one day. It was before I started doing comedy. And all of a sudden, like, I just felt okay. And I don't remember ever feeling okay without drugs. And this is at 3 years sober, man. Like, and all of a sudden I was like, oh crap, like I think I'm gonna be okay.
So it's just, you weren't even thinking about it. You just had a moment. You were just like, fuck,
man,
I'm all right.
It's a lot, dude. It's like I felt the wind on my face. And like, I just felt all the way free. Cause like my dad died when I was 12 and he was kind of a maniac and I was really scared of my dad. And if you knew my dad like I did, you'd probably be scared of him too. And then, he died. And then I was scared of everything else because my dad like protected me. And that's because when getting high for me was never about, getting high. It was more about not being sober. I wasn't running towards something. I was running away from something. And then when I learned how to deal with that fear, I got to stop running. And then it's weird when you stop running and all of a sudden you look around and you're like, man, like I'm okay. Like I'm okay with myself. Cause I used to lie all the time too. I just hated who I was. So I'd get high and just lie and say that I'm doing this or doing that. And it was all
working for NASA and shit.
Yeah. I used to tell people I worked for SeaWorld.
Did you?
Yeah.
It's such a funny lie.
I told people I worked for SeaWorld.
What did you do at SeaWorld?
This is the best part is I'd tell them that I was like, the dolphins you see? I'm like, there's also dolphins they don't let you see. I was like, I work with, like there's dolphins are like people. They're smart. I go, there's good ones and there's bad ones.
What's so funny about that? There's probably like 3 people around you going, oh yeah, he's right. No, that happens.
Yeah. Cause I would do it. You know what I'd do too is they'd be like, what do you do at SeaWorld? I'd be like, I don't want to talk about it.
like a war vet. What's the biggest motivating factor in your life?
Oof. Oh man. You know what's strange, man, is that since I got sober and I started doing comedy, like obviously I want my family to be happy and healthy. My recovery is number one because without that, none of the other stuff works. I want my family to be happy and healthy, obviously. But as far as like the comedy shit, man, it has its own will, and I just have to get out of the way.
Do you feel it?
I don't even feel like I have to be motivated, man. Like it just does. It's gonna do what it's gonna do because like the same way drugs made me feel like I was connected to the world. When I'm in a room of strangers and I make them laugh about some crazy shit I used to do, it makes me feel like I'm not alone. And there's nothing more powerful than that, you know, just to be okay. That shit's amazing, man.
That is amazing.
Yeah.
Do you
I feel like I should be funnier on this podcast?
No, this is great. I like to get deep. We could do that in a second.
Make everybody fucking cry.
No, this is good, man. I think a lot of people could really benefit from what you're saying. I don't think a lot of people talk about it.
Yeah.
All right. I wrote down a handful of random ass questions that I wanted to ask you. Goonies or Sandlot?
God. I have very neutral feelings to both those.
Okay.
Probably Goonies because I love Astoria. That's where I recorded my second comedy special.
Okay.
A lot of time in Astoria.
Perfect. Do you have a favorite childhood movie then?
Geez, probably Happy Gilmore. Yeah.
Happy Gilmore was fucking great.
Yeah. Adam Sandler was a big influence on me.
Oh.
And Stone Cold Steve Austin.
You a big wrestling fan too?
I had my moment, man.
Were you? Did you ever do any kind of like backyard wrestling or amateur wrestling?
We did. Yeah.
Did you really?
Yeah. In high school.
Would you set up like a ring, or would you just go crazy in the backyard?
Beat the piss out of each other and film it in high school. It was really stupid, actually.
That's amazing.
Yeah, almost lost, dude. We had this bit where this guy was gonna hit me with an apple in my face, and dude, apples are hard as shit, bro. He hit me right in the eye.
Ooh,
it was gnarly. I thought my eyeball was gonna pop.
Did you have a wrestling name?
No, I don't think so. Everybody called me Big Sam.
Big Sam.
Which checks out.
Checks out.
Huge. So.
What did you say for favorite childhood movie?
Happy Gilmore.
Happy Gilmore. That's right. What do you get for a snack at a gas station?
Hard-boiled eggs.
No fucking way.
Why?
You're that guy?
Yeah, what's wrong with bag eggs?
Oh,
I hear a lot of comics talking shit about bag eggs.
Yeah,
I heard Joe Rogan talk shit about bag eggs. Well, stay out of my car, Joe Rogan. You know?
Have you never gotten sick off gas station eggs?
Yeah, but I've gotten sick off a lot of shit. It didn't stop me.
Once burned, twice shy.
Fucking drugs. I kept doing them shits.
That's true.
It's a little fart in a Kia. You'll be all right.
All right. Who would win in a wrestling match, Jesus or Buddha?
I don't know. Is it like... What kind of which Jesus? Like after he was resurrected?
Any Jesus you want. Let's go with strong Jesus.
Strong Jesus?
Yeah, but right before Jesus they crucified him, yeah.
No. He wasn't at his strongest before he was crucified. I think he was strongest when he was still doing the carpenter gig.
Yeah, that's probably true.
And then which Buddha?
Anyone you want. Let's go with 23-year-old prime Buddha. Not even that fat yet.
Buddha's gonna win because it's like some all around shit. I don't know anything about religion, dude.
Do you find it hard to well, I guess you kind of answered this, but I was going to say, like, I know a lot of, I also wanted to ask you, do you know a guy named Aaron Putnam?
Yeah, I think so. That name sounds really familiar. Yeah.
I do a lot of shows with him on the road. He does he lives in Chicago. He does a lot he's sober, and he does a lot with these sober gigs.
Yeah, I've worked with Aaron.
Yeah. Grumpy, kind of curmudgeon-y guy. Mm-hmm. Hey, what's going on?
Yeah. I've worked with Aaron.
Do you ever drink non-alcoholic beer at bars?
No. There's this really great saying in recovery circles that drinking non-alcoholic beer is kind of like making out with your cousin.
Yeah.
Like it's not illegal, but it's probably a slippery slope. But I do like hop tea, which is like sparkling water that hops soak in it. And my whole family thinks it's disgusting. And it's really funky. To me, it's weird because it smells like weeds, sort of. But it doesn't make me... And I can't do that. Even like, you know what's weird, man, is like, you know those pina colada Jelly Bellies? They have like that tequila flavor to them. Whoa, I will vomit, dude. I can't handle that shit.
Crazy.
Same thing, I can't do kombucha either because it...
Well, kombucha is disgusting.
Yeah, it tastes like... I taste like the fermentation or whatever.
I used to live with a bunch of hippies, and one guy was making his own kombucha.
Yeah.
Yeah, and we used to drink it, and now I go,
oh, bro,
what the fuck was wrong with that?
Bro, I got my friend Rachel in Olympia has magic kombucha. She is at a kombucha factory for a long
It's magical?
Long time. I don't like kombucha, but people swear by it.
Yeah. Not for me. Who's your favorite wrestler?
Stone Cold Steve Austin.
It's
Well, no.
Okay.
Maybe Mick Foley. Because Mick Foley wrote a fantastic book called Have a Nice Day. And also it's cool because me and Mick Foley's on the road a lot and we work the same rooms.
Do you really?
Yep, I'm going to meet him eventually.
There's a couple of comics I've seen like in and around like dates I've done. Like Hacksaw Jim Duggan does dates.
Yep, he sure does. Yep.
Mick Foley.
Yep.
I don't know what they do, but I guess they stand up
Mick
there and
Foley
ask questions.
is supremely talented and is a great storyteller. So that book, Have a Nice Day, he wrote it after Owen Hart died. And it's not just a great book about wrestling. It's a great book about life, about anything you're passionate about. Because you can't argue that Mick Foley didn't leave it all out there. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, nobody's gone as hard as that dude did. You know.
What's the weirdest or the least favorite thing you've ever seen in a green room?
Oh, the weirdest green room. Oh, geez, this is a tough one. I've seen some weird shit in green rooms, man. There was one I was just in that had these 3 pinball machines, but people kept wandering back to play pinball
Into the green room?
Yeah. I would be like changing in the corner, like trying to hide because people kept coming in to play pinball because like nobody could listen to directions. I like the ones with the snacks. It's funny when there's like 2 competing comedy clubs in a town and they start like competing over who can have the best green room. And then they're in like some fucking snack war. That's pretty fun. And like one will get granola bars, the other one will get candy bars, and the other one will get like king size candy bars. And then
that only helps everybody when they do that.
Yeah.
I once went to a green room that had a urinal inside it.
Yeah, that's pretty sick. Yeah, I've seen some
for multiple people, right? Yeah,
I've seen some weird shit. I did comedy on a boat for stoned veterans one time.
That's amazing.
That was
was it a big boat or was it like a 12-foot speedboat?
No, it was pretty big.
Okay,
it was really fun. I want to do that again, actually.
That is cool. Would you? I know there's a lot of them, but like, do you remember like it sticks in your head like the worst gig you ever did?
Dude, you know what's funny is I was writing about it today, literally at the airport, because I was thinking about like there's so many shows that I'm excited about, but yeah, man, I think I was out in the Oregon coast. I did an 8 p.m. show. The producer was like, "Hey, come do this 10 p.m. show if you want," and you know, I'm never going to turn down a gig. He said he'd throw me an extra $100 or whatever. And I was late to the gig because I was selling merch after the 8 p.m. I got out there, this desolate bar in the middle of nowhere. I pulled up. The producer was there in the parking lot smoking cigarettes, obviously freaking out. And when I talked to him, I get out of the car and he's just like, "Dude, I'm sorry. I'm so sorry. You don't have to do it if you don't want." I went in there and there's probably 80 people in there. 5 of them were sitting in the very front row trying to watch the show. There was 8 empty rows. And then there was 9 dudes standing beside the empty rows that were talking shit to the comedian on stage and laughing at each other. And then there was like another 70 people that could care less. And I go there. I'm like, you know what? Whatever. We'll see what happens. And the comic got lit. My friend Taylor. And usually, you know, you get the light or whatever. You do like another minute or maybe even another 5 or whatever the deal is. He didn't just stop mid-joke. He didn't just stop mid-sentence. He stopped mid-word. He was like, "Shut up." And they were like, "Nope. Anyway, you guys have been great." And then immediately I was up. I got up on stage. I started trying to do my opener, trying to get people engaged. But right when I go up there, I start my joke, and this guy's like, "You're a big motherfucker, ain't you?" And I was like, "Yeah, man, you're loud." And yeah, and I was like, I was a lot smaller when I was a baby, which is like kind of like a go-to thing when people talk about how big I am. I always say that line, and I got a laugh, right? And then I would start telling a joke, and I'd get like some more laughs, and then I'd deal with the heckler, and I'd get a pop dealing with the heckler. And I just went back and forth between like A material, crowd work, A material, crowd work, A material, crowd work. And eventually I got to where like more than half that bar shut the fuck up and they were listening to me, right? Anyway, I was doing my jokes, and then one guy did it again. He said something about me being big, and the girl in the front row turns around and she goes, Daryl, how about you shut the fuck up? I'm so tired. I'm trying to watch this guy. He's funny. And then Daryl was like, he's like, Clarissa, I don't care who your dad is. You don't need to talk to me like that. And they're yelling at each other, right? And they're just like, blah, blah, screaming all of a sudden. And all of a sudden I hear all this barking. And I look in the corner and there's a full-on dog fight going on in the corner. And I'm just kind of sitting on the stage, like watching all of this. And I had this moment of, not of appreciation, but of acceptance. And it made me so grateful for the amount of good shows that I get to do.
Yeah.
Because we're always on stage. We're looking for this validation. We want to know, comics want to go on stage and find out if the things they think are actually funny. And will it work in front of a crowd? You want to try this out. Gabriel Rutledge told me one time, the best feeling in the world is when a new joke works. And you want that.
Yeah.
You want that. But what's funny is like a lot of times we can't find out if a crowd will like our jokes because there's no crowd or they don't give a shit, you know? And in that moment, I really felt it, man. I was like, man, like, this is fine. Like,
This is fine.
Yeah.
We'll just leave it here. It's fine.
Yeah.
That's funny. All right, I got two more questions and we'll get out of here.
Okay.
You've had a lot of jobs outside of like comedy, though. Like you mentioned being a firefighter, a wilderness firefighter.
Yeah, wildland.
What's the difference between a wildland and a wilderness?
I don't know what a wilderness firefighter is.
I made it up, I think. I don't know firefighters. I'm not up on my firefighter game. What's the hardest job you've ever had?
Working at a homeless shelter during COVID, and it's not even close.
Damn.
It sucked.
What's the weirdest job you've ever had? And is it the same?
Weirdest job I ever had. Dude, the weirdest job I ever had is comedy.
Outside of comedy, though.
Oh.
Comedy gets pretty fucking weird.
Weirdest job I ever had. I worked at a preschool. I was an assistant preschool teacher. I had to wear a sock on my arm to cover my gun tattoo. That was weird. I was actually, check this out. It's actually a combination because I was a bouncer at this dive bar and I was working at the preschool at the same time. And I would get like spit on at both jobs sometimes. It was really crazy.
It must have been a rough year, man. A lot of spit coming your way.
Yeah, it was nasty. Yeah. Rob Ressler spit on me one time and so does, Rob Ressler did. It was that dude, Patrick. But I think he's dead now, unfortunately.
Oh my God. All right, last thing. Do you have like a favorite quote or like a mantra you live by?
Ooh. Let me think, man. God, there's so many things that keep me going, man. I guess, geez, that's a tough one, man. I want to say the one day at a time thing with the like the regular ass recovery stuff. Oh, I got one because it saved my ass. Not me. I got arrested a couple times even after I got sober. For like fighting and this and that. And I was always fighting a good fight. But I had to learn that like it's not up to me to like to fight for other folks. Like obviously if like there's like a DV situation, like I'll step in, But like a lot of situations, my interjection into those situations is stealing somebody else's chances to learn. And so like when I see situations that I should leave alone, whether it's saying something or throwing down, it's not me. So I said that a lot in early recovery. It's like, not me, man. Forget that shit.
That's awesome, man.
I'm gonna keep walking.
That's a good. I never thought about it like that. Like you're stopping somebody else's lesson.
Well, dude, I was a bouncer, man. And I remember some dude grabbed the bartender in the crotch in the back. And, I felt a certain way about it. And I actually don't feel bad about that one.
Yeah, that's kind of warranted.
Yeah. One time I caught a guy breaking into my mom's car and I pulled his shirt over his head. And I told him that I wasn't going to call the cops, but I was bouncing and I basically made him sit on timeout for like an hour next to me.
What?
Yeah. I told him, I was like, dude, I don't want to call the cops, but like, also like you got to pay for this shit. And I'm like, if you try to leave, like I'll beat your ass. But like you broke into my car or my mom's car. And you know what's crazy, man, is after about 10 or 15 minutes, me and the dude were cool.
I figured you would have become friends with him pretty quick. Yeah. Did he pay for it?
No, he didn't take anything. I caught him when he was in the car.
Oh.
I caught him and he was trying to run around the car to get away from me. And I pulled his shirt up over
Sounds like a cartoon.
You'd have seen hockey fights where they pull the shirt over a dude's head? Yeah. I'd never done that before. It just kind of happened naturally. It was so beautiful. Funny. It was like a sunrise.
It's like a sunrise.
Because I'm not on some tough guy shit. And like the thing is that
that's the opposite of a tough guy. You pull his shirt over his head and have a conversation with him.
Well, I just thought I'm like, dude, it's like if dude's gonna get like what? Like I'm gonna call the cops and then it's gonna be a pain in the ass. And I don't know, man. I think natural consequences could be really dope, dude. I did some heinous shit and I got my ass kicked. I've had guns in my face and shit like that for bad shit I've done. Like I tried to sleep with dude's wife, gun in my face. Peed on a bunch of people, gun in my face.
Yeah, you can't pee. You can't be peeing on people.
No.
It's not appropriate unless they ask for it. Then I don't know. People do weird shit.
Yeah, they like that.
All right. Why don't you, what's coming up for you? What's big? What dates you got coming up? Plug them.
Man, just go to sammullercomedy.com. It's got all my stuff on there, man. I got so many shows. I don't know when this will come out, but
before the end of May.
Oh, before the end of May. Jeez.
No, before the end of April. Sorry, we're in April.
Before the end of April.
Yeah. So like,
man.
What you got in May?
A lot of stuff, man.
Just go to sammiller.com.
Yeah.
He's coming everywhere, all over everything.
Yeah.
I appreciate you, man. Thanks for doing it.
All right. Thank you, brother.